Hey nerds, Zan here. And I'm really excited about all of the news and announcements that Arenanet has posted on their blog over the weekend. So I wasn't here to actually see it go live, but I did get a chance to read it and I'm super hyped. I don't know what a lot of it means for certain people coming back. However, I'm excited to read it to you guys and guess at what the cute little graphic is and what elite spec it could possibly be. So, did I enjoy the Arenanet blog, especially as a noob? Let's find out. Okay, so immediately, one of the things that I noticed is the concept art looks a lot like Mists of Pandaria to me. I don't know if that's the aesthetic that Kantha had in Guild Wars 1, because I haven't fully played it yet, but I'm excited to find out. So anyway, it goes that there's a brief preamble here. Hey everybody, please allow me to introduce myself. I'm JT, and I lead the Guild Wars franchise and Arenanet. I've been director at the studio for a little over 6 years. Arenanet is different. It's unlike any place I've ever been a part of. I'm honored to be a part of this game, team, and community. I love just this line here. Arenanet is different. When I stepped into this role, I thought about a lot we've done well and what we still needed to do. The retrospection took me back to the studio's earliest days. Arenanet was founded with the goal of pursuing innovation by focusing on solving player problems first. Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2 are a direct result of this pursuit. It's essential that this player-first approach is at the heart of everything we do going forward. Today, we'll be sharing some important updates about our upcoming expansion, Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons, the live game, and some changes we're making to realign ourselves with the ideals that shaped the Guild Wars franchise from the very beginning. I believe that the best is yet to come for Guild Wars 2. At least they know that. Like, it's not like, as much as I know it's kind of a big thing for people to bash Blizzard right now, it's kind of like everybody that founded Blizzard is either going to a different studio, creating their own studio, or regardless of what they're doing, they're jumping ship because it's not what they'd intended in the beginning. It was something that could have been played on a tabletop and was kind of converted to PC, the RTS first with Warcraft, Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, whatever. And it just isn't like their vision anymore. And so people like Mike Morheim, Chris Metzen, and everyone has left. And so a lot of people have actually been upset about that there hasn't been enough PR for Arenanet, especially for Guild Wars. And especially there's been, some people say that there's been a lack of communication, especially leading up to End of Dragons. Because right now, a lot of companies are competing, especially with MMOs. And in the past, everyone said that MMOs are a dying breed. But now, all of a sudden, like Asmongold's playing Final Fantasy XIV, and a lot of people are moving over. A lot of people are upset with Blizzard, but people are excited about, Ashes and Pantheon. And it's just, it might be coming back. I never thought it was a dying breed, but regardless, there are so many people, like 14 is coming out with Endwalker. World of Warcraft finally had 9.1 for Shadowlands, which people are actually able to take a bit more, even though it was really delayed. But the difference between those companies is that Arenanet has said, yes, we will do an announcement. And all of these other companies are doing like announcements every month and live streams. And so I'm really excited for that. Now, for this picture, hopefully you guys can see my cursor here. So I'm assuming because of the colors, it's a Mesmer. I was really excited about this because at first thought, instead of other people who I've seen some reactions to this thought that this was a spear. Here. I have high hopes for a dagger Mesmer, and so I'm hoping that other than this character pointing, where all of these look like daggers or spell blades at least, that could be used in place of clones, like instead of exploding them for like confusion or whatever, or like the extra damage is an actual explosion. Maybe one of the things we were talking about with Chalk was like you could set all of these out once you get a certain number, after dodging and evading, which I believe gets clones for staff and things like that, and just have them set at certain areas before they actually hit the target, and you might be able to, as the Mesmer, go between all of these. And I'm hoping that this is a dagger, and that this is either a different like main hand or offhand, maybe like if it was an offhand like a focus or something. I'm hoping this isn't part of the outfit. And you don't actually see the other side of it, so I'm hoping it's a really long dagger. It's not the way that you normally hold one, but it's just always kind of been my dream, because I love dual dagger elementalist, and so I thought that would be really cool. The other thing I was thinking was maybe it really focuses on the arcane, and so it's supposed to be an elementalist, and this is a different take on elementalist. Maybe there's going to be an arcane element instead of just the 4 elements that you have. Maybe we're adding another one, and this is supposed to be it, which would be just the colors for arcane as well. But I feel like, and I was talking with Chalk about this, that the outfit that you see, especially with this like poof here, and then the ribbons coming down, and the colors specifically right here for whatever this weapon is, a spellblade, anything, is purple. Then we have the purple going into pink, that it'll be a mesmer. So I'm thinking dagger mesmer. Regardless of if it's dual dagger, I think dagger mesmer, but I also think it would be really cool if it was literally an arcane, like an arcane elite spec or something like that, or an added element to elementalist as well, and possibly not even a new weapon or a spear for an elementalist. So I want to know what you guys think. If you guys have watched this long, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. All right, Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons. As expansion development has progressed and the real-world challenges of the past year and a half have changed the way we look and work, it's become clear that we need a little more time to deliver our creative vision for Cantha. As a result, we're delaying the release of Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons from late 2021 to early 2022. We appreciate your patience as we take the time to give the expansion the attention it deserves. I'm incredibly proud of the work the team is doing to bring Cantha to life, and we can't wait for you to see and experience it for yourselves. Don't forget to tune in on July 27th for the Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons first look live stream. This is exciting. And honestly, them delaying this, Arenanet delaying End of Dragons, is really exciting because obviously I don't know the story leading up to it, but I do know that one of World of Warcraft's biggest expansions was TBC, and TBC was delayed to make sure that they actually had everything that they dreamed of and their ideas carried out in such a way, and that they had their priorities in order so that this would be a great expansion. They tried to do it for Shadowlands, and unfortunately they ended up delaying a lot more than they should have, in my opinion. I know we've gone through a lot in the world, but especially if you want to compete with other MMOs out there, if you're paying a subscription, having that delay is very unfortunate. But what's really cool about Arenanet is having that delay it makes it seem better, because it means that they're focusing all of their energy on one thing rather than having scattered ideas, which Arenanet and NCSoft has been known to have previously. And so it seems like they're actually locking down on one vision, and they want to make sure that that vision is perfect, which is amazing. So I honestly think kudos to them. So a familiar face returns. A large part of my job is planning for the future. We have some big plans in store for Guild Wars 2, and ambitious plans require ambitious leaders. I knew I needed a partner to help share the load in order for us to achieve our long-term goals and deliver the game experiences you deserve. I needed someone who intimately understood the franchise and, most importantly, our players. With that, I'm thrilled to announce that former Guild Wars 2 game director Colin Johansson has returned to Arenanet to help co-lead the studio with me. And everybody was really excited about Colin. I actually saw a couple of things that people were talking about in just a couple of Discords, and people were super excited. I don't know a lot about Colin, but I think that that's really cool. So, hello Guild Wars community, Colin here. I'm incredibly excited to be returning to Arenanet. When I decided to leave the studio in 2016, it was one of the hardest decisions I've made in my career. I spent over 11 years working on the Guild Wars franchise as a game designer and game director. One of the first projects I ever worked on at Arenanet was building a quest where you helped a little girl named Gwen find her lost flute, and the last project was leading the team through pre-production on the Guild Wars 2 Path of Fire expansion. Guild Wars, this community, and the team at Arenanet hold a deep place in my heart, and returning feels like coming home for me. When JT reached out about the opportunity to help lead the studio with him, we spent a lot of time talking Guild Wars, its future, and our interest in driving a renewed focus on our players. Bringing the player perspective into our development process is a huge part of what made Guild Wars a successful franchise from the beginning. Before we launched Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2, we opened them up to the public testing to gather your feedback and make improvements. After they went live, we evaluated your feedback and your actions in the game, and we used that data to help make a better experience for our community. We want to keep improving in this area in the future, which is awesome, because there are a lot of people who see beta testing as kind of having people test the game and having it be like unpaid interns, essentially. Like, you're testing the game and you're doing the dev's job, and I think that that's wrong. And feel free to disagree in the comments below. But I honestly think it's kind of big for the game. As long as it's not serious things that could possibly spoil raids or whatever, I actually think it's a really cool way to make sure that your community likes certain things and your community dislikes certain things, and also to make sure that things works, stress tests, things like that. Like, there are a lot of things that have been missing, especially in the MMO community recently, that these things would fix. And so I think that's really cool, especially if they pay attention, because it's not like you're a number. It's not like there is a certain feature or structure that's set there that you have to log in every day and do a certain thing in order to complete a certain endeavor. And they're not basing the numbers off of that. They're not like, oh, the community likes these things because they log in every day and do this particular farming thing that they have to do in order to get this legendary. It's like, no, they have to do it. They're not doing it because they want to or they enjoy it. They have to do it. So those numbers are kind of skewed, and it's more of a machine. And so I think it's a great way to go back to this. And in my opinion, and again, I don't know much about Colin, but I think that this is really good. So talking is the easy part. It's what you do that matters. So let's talk about a concrete step we're talking to improve on this front. Guild Wars 2 is big and complex with a lot of unique game experiences, including living world, world versus world, player versus player, endgame PvE, and more. Traditionally, the game director has had their attention split between overseeing the development of the live game and expansions. To ensure the live game is getting the attention it deserves, JT and I have created a new role that's focused on leading development strategy for the game and ensuring that we're giving you a consistent quality experience. We felt that it was important that we found someone for the role who knew the franchise in and out and is a tireless advocate for players. I'm pleased to announce that Josh Davis, aka Grouch, has rejoined the team as head of live operations. Which is really exciting because, again, it's actually making sure that they stay determined and focused on one thing instead of many things, and then deciding that they can't focus on many things at once and scrapping the whole thing. And one of the things that I always like to talk about is Yoshi P coming into Final Fantasy XIV. So 1.0, whilst it had good ideas, the UI was bad, the combat was bad, the story was and there were so many things that needed to be fixed. The servers weren't stress test. It was put out before it was ready. And Yoshi P had this team, Naoki Yoshida, for those of you who don't know. And he came into Final Fantasy XIV, and he had a team that worked on 2.0 that not only patched everything that was already going on to make it better in 1.0, but they recreated the game for 2.0, and they made it so that a ton of people loved it, and everything, for the most part, was fixed, and they worked on it, and everything made sense with the UI, everything made sense with combat, everything made sense for quests, and class quests, and cities, and it wasn't just a jumbled mess anymore. And that's absolutely incredible. And at the same time, they actually put that into a story. Like, they completely destroyed 1.0 in the story. And I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but they destroyed 1.0 in the story to create 2.0. And so it was perfect that it actually flowed that way. And not that Guild Wars 2 needs that, but it would be neat to see that much of a difference for those vets that really want more. Okay. So hi, Josh Grouch Davis reporting for duty. Bridging the gap between players and developers is a passion of mine, and it's part of why and how I got into the industry to begin with. When JT and Colin asked me if I'd be interested in rejoining the studio to help recenter our development efforts on players, I couldn't possibly say no. I'm stoked to partner with such a talented team of developers to write the next chapter in Guild Wars 2 story. And just that there is amazing. Just that line, bridging the gap between players and developers. Rejoining the studio to help center our development efforts on players. How many studios say that? How many studios say that? And again, as unfortunate as it is for me to keep making connections to 14, but it's the game that I came from most recently, but that's one of the things that people love about the game. It's not even, as much as they love the game itself, the developers are really serious and hands-on, and they let the community know everything that they're doing, and they fix everything, and they put certain things on the shop that the community wants, and they have certain things in game that are different from the shop just in case you can't. And it's just, everybody really loves the dev team because of things that they work through and what they're able to say to the community. And they seriously read their forums and things like that. So this is good. This is really good. It's been an eventful couple of months for the live team, starting with the summer 2021 live blog post we published back in April. It's a little nerve-wracking to publish detailed release dates that far in advance. Game development can be a little unpredictable at times, but in general, I believe the benefits outweigh the risks, and we intend to push forward for this level of communication as much as we can. It's a new territory for Arenanet, but we're excited about this direction. I am too, honestly, without even having played the game for a long time. I understand what a lot of people's qualms are with it, so In addition to Living World Return, that roadmap announced some major additions coming to the game this summer, namely the Twisted Marionette and the Legendary Armory. We prioritized these features because we knew they're important to you. You've told us as much. With that in mind, we'd like to give 2 more long-awaited updates that we know are important to many of you. Alliances when? This year. World Reconstructing, known as Alliances, is a feature that aims to deliver a more balanced world versus world experience by dynamically creating matchups using world versus world designated guilds, alliances, a player-made collection of guilds, and active World v World players as the inputs. That is awesome. I haven't done world versus world yet, but this was one of the things that people were hoping for. This in comparison to the current system that relies on worlds and world linking. The system will give us more flexibility and granularity when creating new matches and help address natural fluctuation and population over time. It'll also give more players agency in choosing who they want to play with on an ongoing basis. World Reconstruction is a big change to World v World, and we want to get it right. We've had a lot of your feedback on the system, thousands of posts over the years. Why do I feel like 999 out of 1,000 posts of those would be Teapot? Anyway, it's clear that there isn't total consensus on how the feature should work, and that's okay. It's a big fundamental change to how the mode works, and that can be daunting. In the past, we've sometimes made the mistake of releasing the final version of a feature and finding that it didn't quite meet your expectations, meaning that we wasted time and resources. To avoid this, we're going to do things a little differently this time around to make sure that your voice can help inform the development of world restructuring. World restructuring features will be released in a multi-phase beta. That is so good. Like, this is exactly what I was talking about. Some people dislike betas because, again, they think it's just like free testing. But this is so good compared to the machine that I was talking about earlier. What this means is that we'll release a part of the world restructuring system, test it with you in the live game, gather your feedback, and then iterate on it for a future release. The feature components will be functional, but not fully polished, meaning we can more easily react to your feedback without having to rewrite a bunch of code. Talking about not wasting time. Once we've worked with you to lock down the design and implementation, we'll polish it up and take it out of beta. We'll be back in August to share an overview of how world restructuring works and the timing of the first live beta events. Our communication regarding this feature over the last few years missed the mark. At least they can admit it, too. Like, that's really big. In the past, development priorities shifted away from World v World, and unfortunately both World Restructuring and our players suffered as a result. Our new leadership team views World v World as a cornerstone mode of Guild Wars 2, and it will be our focus. Yeah, I mean, it should have been. Because out of anybody that you talk to, especially veterans, especially content creators, one of the things that they say is, what puts Guild Wars 2, in your opinion, above other MMOs, and why do you play it? The combat in World versus World. Nobody really has anything like World versus World now, and if they do, it's not as refined, and if they tried it previously, it's failed. So that, yeah, absolutely should be one of their main focuses. That and another raid. Because a lot of people really like PvE as well, and don't necessarily want PvP, even with the amazing combat. So yeah, that's awesome. Client performance optimization. We've heard you loud and clear, Guild Wars 2 needs better frame rates. We agree. We're actively working on upgrading our engine to DX11, and we expect to be able to roll it out in an opt-in beta later this year. An important note is that the upgrade to DX11 itself isn't a magical fix for frame rates on its own. I really love this, because you know there are going to be some people that are like, I still have frame issues. And it's like, okay, well, it's not perfect. Some players may not notice a difference at all. However, upgrading to DX11 opens a lot of doors for improving performance. CPU multi-threading, for instance. It also paves the way for some potential graphics upgrades down the road, which is incredible because a lot of people like to pick on all of the polygons, right? But Guild Wars 2, especially the environment, is absolutely gorgeous. And even like shaders that if people wanted to use those make it look even better. I don't use any of those, and I sometimes have the graphics on like medium just in case for stream, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So I don't even know what it would look like with a revamp, honestly. We're investing in our infrastructure, engine, and graphics because we're looking to the future. This is a long-term effort. And here's another one. This is another thing right here. We're investing in our infrastructure, engine, and graphics because we're looking to the future. This is a long-term effort. So a lot of people think that they're like, if EOD fails, you know, Arenanet is going to stop Guild Wars 2. I think that with the pushback of EOD, and with all of the things they just said here, that they're not stopping at all. And hopefully, with all of the attention to detail they're putting into EOD, this will really hype up vets, and hopefully, other partners can really push this out to other people and be like, see all of the things that you can look forward to, and hopefully it gets an even bigger pop, and it won't go away, hopefully. We're very excited for the rest of 2021, and we can't wait to celebrate with you on July 27th during the Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons First Look live stream. We've got a new trailer, feature reveals and information, news about Elite Specialization beta events, and details about the story, characters, art, event, design, and more. Which sucks. It's great, but it sucks. Because I will want to cover this, and I won't be able to because of spoilers. We'll figure something out, guys. We want to make sure you have many secrets to discover when you visit Cantha yourself, so while we won't be spoiling things, we still have lots to share between now and release. We plan more Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons live streams through the rest of 2021. Yes. And they'll each bring you more news about the expansion, which is great. This is exactly what I said in one of my previous videos. I was like, one of the things that people wish was that there was more communication, because it's like, especially with the pushback, it makes sense. But when it was supposed to be out, like by the end of this year, it's like, we don't have any information. Everybody was just looking toward the announcement in July. And some people are like, don't rush things. And other people are like, well, it'd be nice if we knew a little bit. So this is great. This is really awesome. Our community is the lifeblood of all we do. Thank you for being a part of it. Ruby, JT, Colin, Josh, and the Arenanet team. And I really love this. Again, this is very reminiscent of Mists of Pandaria to me. It looks like very Asian influence, especially like these entryways here into these buildings. There were a lot of those in Kunlai Summit. And again, the greenery is absolutely gorgeous. And like I was saying, even with the view distance, I don't know what they would do to enhance graphics. But it also looks like they might be going back to a Heart of Thorns type thing, where a lot of it is layered, just looking from like the bottom up here. And I would be excited to see what jump puzzles came out of this too. So I want to know what you guys think. What's your interpretation of the artwork? How do you guys feel about the blog as a whole? What are you guys looking forward to? And if you like the content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know if my audio sounds better. And again, I am actually a partner for Arenanet. So if you look down at the links below, if you want to try out Guild Wars 2, or you've needed another account, extra character slots, whatever, I have a link there, and the base game is totally free if you didn't know, but it does support me for being a partner, so make sure to click on that link, sign up, try out the game, especially since we have this content to look forward to in this type of communication. I'm also a part of an LLC, which we have business with merch, game studio, which I'll be putting some links in there for some tabletop stuff you guys can check out, as well as I also have a Patreon too. So if you want to support the content, you want to see it keep flowing, check that out. And don't forget to check out my live streams. I'll see you guys at the next one.